first match is going to be a Druid versus the Priest. This seems to be a common theme for a lot of the players to try and take down the Priest, or in some players just trying to bring Priest. And then there's some players who feel like their opponents are going to bring Priest and then not play Priest, or because of the threat thereof, they're going to play something else. We saw a little bit of this yesterday with Amnesiac. He played Druid versus the Priest in the first game, and that's largely because the bans with Warrior being left open threatens Purple's own Priest. So a couple of unusual choices here. The fact is, we haven't seen a Druid pick ban in quite some time, TJ. In fact, if I were to pop quiz you, when do you think was the last time we saw a Druid pick, Druid ban from a player?
Week 4.
Nope, week 5.
Okay.
But it only happened one time in week 5, and that was done by RDU.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought it happened.
Apologies, it was done by Tice. I looked at the wrong line.
Did it happen in Americas in week 4?
In week number 4, it didn't happen.
Oh, okay. There was a lot of players prioritizing Druid in week 4, at least with Protects, maybe not with Protect plus Ban. I feel like players thought they had the edge in the mirror match because there was a lot of greed in Druids in week 4 and 5.
Druid's not really often a Protect. It's usually a unique ban.
Okay.
And I apologize, I was looking at it wrong. We also had one last week too, in week number 6. Okay. Partially why I didn't remember because I wasn't casting it, but I did end up watching a lot of the VODs and catching up on some of the action. And when I did get to see some of the play, particularly from Nalguidan, I felt like Nalguidan. Well, first of all, it looks like he's had a rough week of preparation, growing out that beard in full. Is he taking after you, TJ?
I don't know. My beard does not grow very fast. I just don't shave often. And when I do, it's a big ordeal, and I hate it, and I look like a baby.
Yeah, hold the phones. Purple with a coin innervate Wardruid Lodi in the rusher mode, and then being able to take down the 1-3, and Priest already struggling.
I love it. Purple aggressively fighting for the board, and that's honestly what you have to do in this matchup. Problem for Purple is that he has very little follow-up. With Cenarius and King Feor is his 2 most expensive card in his deck, picked up in the opening hand. Pretty rough. Pretty rough. Gonna need some Wrath, gonna need some maybe Swipe to try and fight a little bit more aggressively, especially since he's delayed his quest. But seeing a turn 3 pass has to be a little breath of fresh air for Purple. Unfortunately, he is going to be met with a Psycho Pump going into this turn, but the pool is not insane. There's a Northshire Cleric, and of course, the Neverset Ritualist that we just saw die. So, see how Purple's going to be able to fight back from this position.
Yes, but the important thing is that it stalled the Priest from being able to get his momentum up. If that Cleric was able to stay up early and be able to stack its advantage and get card draw, it might be a little bit too late even then. Now, I wonder if, in Purple's mind, he wants to forego the quest again the following turn and try to answer this, but with the Divine Spirit Inner Fire, that's a 10-10, despite his best efforts. It still looks like Priest is too far ahead on the board.
Yikes. No quest even complete. Which leads me to believe that Purple is most likely going to have to be on a plan to just stall.
Yeah, so if he goes for 2 Oasis Surgers that are 3/3s, he can kill this 1/2. Nalguidan, on paper, should only be able to kill, well, if he can only kill the 3/3 and heal up to 8, or 9 rather, and then Purple might be able to find another way to kill the Northshire Cleric.
Yeah.
If Nalguidan ends up going for a greedier plan, although I have to imagine Nalguidan's camp, he has to be considering just pushing to end the game, because he does have an opportunity to even heal this 3/2, draw a card, then Forbidden Words with the 3 remaining mana.
In the light's name.
Yeah, I could play full, board control with the trade, but the face attack seems quite crucial, at the very least, to force Purple off a quest plan once again.
Yeah, and it's crucial too, because Purple's hoping for a Starfall to wrap it up, at least to kill the Northshire Cleric, but this is looking like death. Hidden Oasis and the Anubisoth Defender. More taunts in the way, and Purple is still not finishing his quest.
Whew, okay, so the two options for Purple here are to just play a Nubasoth Defender and Starfall and get the quest going and Hidden Oasis next turn.
Yeah, I think that's what he needs to do right now.
Or he could have gone Hidden Oasis for Taunt and a Nubasoth Defender, but that would delay his quest again.
Yeah, I like this a lot better than Hidden Oasis. I think he has to rely on Nalguidan just not having it. He doesn't have it right now, but Bwansamdi is still a heck of a reload.
Yeah.
And a Starfall was just used. So it's less likely that his opponent will be able to remove the tools, or remove with the tools that they usually have. Is Nalguidan considering not playing Bwansamdi in this position? I think he's trying to talk, he's probably considering about how vulnerable his cleric is after this trade. If you're playing Bwansamdi, you definitely take this 3-5 down. Yeah. Then you are leaving it at 5 health. A follow-up Starfall would be very devastating, but unlikely.
High Priest Amet. I feel like we've seen a large number of High Priest Amets drawn immediately after Bwansamdi pulls off the 1-drops. That's pretty much the ideal reload for Priest because they pull all these cheap minions out of their deck and then they can beef up these cheap minions to a high health total with Amet, and it becomes very difficult for pretty much any deck outside of maybe Warrior with wide sweeping board clears to play around every single piece of combo that the Priest has.
It's the Dr. Boom and Mysterious Challenger partnership. Back in the day when you played Secret Pal and you played Mysterious Challenger on 6 and pull secrets out of the deck, and then Dave's like, why do they always have Dr. Boom right after Mysterious Challenger? I was like, well, you know, you thin the deck a lot, and you increase the likelihood that they end up picking up a powerful minion like Dr. Boom. Or if you play Subject 9, and your opponent just happens to curve out into like a really powerful Savannah Highway with Highlander Hunter.
Yeah.
These kind of things do end up happening very often. And I mean, so much so to the point where people overvalue deck thinning. People used to say that the best part of Patches the Pirate was thinning your deck. It's like, I think the best part of Patches the Pirate was the 1/1 rush you got, or charge you got for free. And the fact that it activated synergies with things like Bloodsteel Corsair and Bloodsteel Cultist. Yep. Purple looks pretty dead to me. We're going to go ahead and at least examine what is a possibility of him surviving. Doesn't really look like to be the case, though. Divine Spirit, Inner Fire, and a Silence should be able to do all this. Let's just go ahead and check here.
Extra arms, more arms on one of the smaller minions. He might be slightly off because that's 6 mana, and then Divine Spirit plus Inner Fire would go on the Northshire Cleric, the smaller one.
Except he's guaranteed to draw the rest of his deck with 1 circle of healing.
I think it's mana. Oh, with a Silence, yes.
So he just needs to get his Silence, and there's 7 cards in the deck. All he has to do is make sure he has hand space.
Yeah, and with Wild
I'm just going to say there has to be a lethal here.
But it's just sequencing. So on board with the cards he has in hand right now, I believe he is 18 plus 2. I believe he's a little bit off. So if he figures that out quickly, does realize that he needs to draw cards.
Yep. So with this, he draws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards, and there's 7 cards in the deck. Just gonna Divine Spirit ahead of time, Circle of Healing, free up his hand space. Just trying to find the Silence to end this game. And even if he doesn't find it, he's totally cool with whatever he's got.
Yeah.
I am almost.
So the optimal way to do that would have been to load up the Inner Fire first.
Yeah.
And not play the Injured Tolvir, so then you draw 6 cards, and you'd overdraw 1. So that would be the maximum. You'd have 5. You'd be able to draw 5 cards. So you draw 5 out of 7 cards in your deck.
Yeah, you just need to dump the cheaper cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, as much as people might look like, oh, you know, sequencing error, like border LUL, like all this stuff, the important thing was the big macro lies for Nalguidan, and that is ultimately what closes the game. That's a game number 1 victory for the Priest. Goes to show you the importance of that Priest versus Druid matchup going the Priest way, because it was a very one-sided matchup, and had Nalguidan lost that, I think it would have been pretty crushing, to say the least, because that's the match that you hope to get. Now, for Nalguidan, part of the reason why we're talking about playoff implications is because he has yet to play his first game this week, and if he wins out, he's going to jump over Eddie for first place.
Yes.
First place, as we mentioned at the very beginning of the show, but for people who didn't get to hear it, plus we're going to say it a lot, gets an entire bye for the first round of playoffs. So I think that's a huge thing for Nalguidan. So a win here will put him at 9-4. If he closes out the weekend with a 10-4, that puts him in a really good position. But of course, that's also dependent on whether or not Eddie wins his last match, and then we'll have to evaluate the time.
Well, Eddie and Nalguidan play against each other. So if Nalguidan wins here, it would be a head-to-head with Eddie versus Nalguidan for the first place seed.
All right.
Since they'd be tied in standings, and it would all come down to that last match. So pretty simple in terms of a way to break that tie is just them playing against each other. So that's something to look forward to.
All right, let's go ahead and take a break for our first game, and then we're going to go into our second game of Nalguidan versus Purple when we return.
The shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tombs, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There should be scorching deserts, adventure, monster of narcissism. High stakes think annihilation, obliteration of civilization. Now is the time to be brave. Evil's come to enslave, but this league's gonna save. Oh no!
My name is Ryan Murphy-Root. I go by Purple. I really like waking up. The first 4 or 5 hours are the best hours of the day. I like taking dogs for walks after my 8 hours of Hearthstone and my couple naps. Unique to me is my ability to randomly deck people with just random decks that aren't supposed to function like that. I see shifts in patterns in the game where it is no longer possible to win the traditional way, and I tend to see those pretty early.
What are you afraid of?
Snakes, the dark, not necessarily in order. I'm not going to tell you in which order they are, though. Design a Hearthstone card. All right, 3/3, minor, Mac, remove all bombs from your deck. I had to play this one card in every single deck. Well, my boy Arthas just rotated, but my boy King Mukla, he's still in standard. Unfortunately, currently doesn't have a place, but I do like the giant ape sound. Personal goals for the year. Just win? Yeah, just win.
I'm Facundo Pruso, more known as Nalguidan. My username is an Illidan reference. I used to play Warcraft 3 a lot. Illidan is my favorite character. Back in the days, I really liked watching RDU stream as well. After I saw him for the first time on some DreamHack tournament, and then I got to beat him on some online tournament finals. That was my first tournament win, my first prize win. That was a very key moment for me in Hearthstone. I think I'm pretty good at recognizing what decks are good and how to improve them. I like the Su playstyle. Some people think it's broke back deck, but then you have a lot of things to master, and there is a lot of little things in that deck that, of course, you can draw 1, 2, 3, 4 and kill an opponent, but that's not gonna happen every game, and you need to know how to improve your odds. I don't know if other players already respect me or not. In my region, I think they do. I'm not sure about the other Grandmasters. This year, I really want to qualify for Global Finals. I quite didn't make it last year, so that's the main goal. I hear a lot of players say first season wasn't that important, but I think it really is. If you win the first season, you made it to Global Finals.
Game number 2 of Purple versus Nalguidan is a Shaman versus Paladin matchup. If you take a look a little closer, Nalguidan bringing the OTK Paladin for several weeks now. And it's a deck that I think a lot of players weren't necessarily considering at the very beginning of the season, but as time went on, we started to realize OTK Paladin's relevance in the metagame. Now, Purple is playing Quest Shaman, a deck that he's actually relied a lot upon. In fact, Purple, more commonly than other players, have been protecting and picking Shaman more than the other players in Americas, and it seems like he highly values his deck, TJ.
Yeah, he really does, and honestly, he's played it very well in a lot of the matches that we've seen him. He had a big win in week 6, you know, on the back of the deck, and it just looks super clean, and even in positions where you don't expect him to win, he can pull out wins. So I feel like we do have a few specialists in America's Grandmasters with the deck, and it's oftentimes a pleasure to watch. We'll see game number 2. Holy Wrath Paladin versus the Quest Shaman. Some interesting scenarios that can happen. Obviously, if Nalguidan wins this, it'll all come down to the matchup tomorrow with Nalguidan versus Eddie for the first seed in Division A. However, if Purple wins this matchup, it does open the possibility for a 3-way tie for first place. If Nalguidan were to lose against Purple and then defeat Eddie, Purple, and Nalguidan would all end the regular season with 9 wins. And all their tiebreaker 2 scores are close enough to the point where it'd be a very contested final day to see who would end up coming out on top of that number 1 seed. So some very interesting permutations, but one thing that they can take away from it is with 8 wins, they are guaranteed for playoffs, since there's only one other person who can reach the 8-win mark.
This is really scary as the Shaman player, or as the Paladin player. The Shaman, the fact that they're able to keep that evil totem. So Nalguidan probably wants to deal with all of this immediately. Pyromancer dealing 1 damage to everything based on every spell that's cast. Has the ability to Flash of Light the Pyromancer and keep it alive.
Seems like a pretty solid play to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any merit to using Crystology in that position, given that it's not mana efficient, and also you don't even really have a way to capitalize off of that, right? Like, you don't have like a minion that you want to play for 1 mana. The only 1 mana minion in most of these decks are Elven Archer.
Yeah, I guess the argument would be, since at that stage he only had, I guess he had 3 minions that he could pull. He had Acolyte of Pain, Crystal Smith Kangor.
Of course it's the right way.
Or no, Acolyte of Pain, Blood Mage Saunos, and the second Novice Engineer as pulls from the Crystology. So maybe you can argue, well, if he doesn't play Crystology now, then maybe he doesn't have time to fit it in because Purple applies pressure and all of a sudden Crystology's dead.
Speak to me.
But he is going to find a use for it here.
Yeah, with Pyromancer's Dying Wish. Draws an additional card for Nalguidan. Nalguidan's at 8 cards. Yeah, looking to see if there's any possible way for Purple to capitalize, but I don't think there is. From nothing right now.
Yeah. Now, one of the interesting dynamics is you can see Spellword Jeweler picked up for Purple. There are 2 Spellword Jewelers.
Yeah, the Spellword Jeweler. Deck. Just noticed that. That's partially why Purple's been playing the Shaman deck, but it hasn't worked out in the Shaman Mirrors.
Yes.
The Shaman Mirror isn't what he's focusing on, though. He's focusing on shutting down the OTK Paladin. And part of the reason why I like it is that it's more than just a Spellword Jeweler. It's the idea that there's Spellword Jeweler, there's Bog Sloshers. You can bounce the Spellword Jeweler and play it again. Then you have Shudderwalk. So you just have a bunch of layers of which you can keep constantly putting yourself out of the range of being able to be attacked by the Holy Wrath, and then you can just threaten to kill your opponent.
Yeah, and the crazy part for Purple is every other week we've seen players try this and it not work out. But they were running one copy of Spellward Jeweler. Purple just has two.
He doubled down.
So the redundancy is insane. He's got 2 Spellward Jewelers plus the Bog Sloshers plus the Shudderwalk. You know, he could realistically, towards the end of this game, assuming he has the board space to do so, which is the big limiting factor.
Woo. Double Jeweler.
Yeah. Then he can do it 5 turns in a row.
Yes.
He could be immune to spells 5 turns in a row.
Play another one, Bog Slosher. The key is that he keeps threatening to kill Nalguidan.
Yes.
Otherwise, Nalguidan's like, okay, I'll pass. And then Purple has to do the same thing over again.
Yeah. The key point to all this is that it's timing. You have to kind of try and predict when your opponent's going to do it. You have to try and keep yourself above 25 in the later stages of the game, so Nalguidan can't sneak a Holy Wrath with a few cards left in deck to force him to have a more telegraphed combo, so that way you can more accurately predict it. And it's also about board space. We've seen board space become an issue a few times so far with Spellward Jeweler decks trying to counter, especially Shaman, trying to counter Paladin.
DJ, would you ever bounce the Sir Finley?
Sure.
You can have a chance of getting the odd Paladin hero power.
Which is bad, because you want board space.
Guess so, yeah.
You can
sorry, the odd warrior hero power.
Oh, okay.
What was I thinking? I was thinking the armor count.
Yeah, the armor count could
I said
be
Paladin because we're playing with it.
Okay.
One of those visual reinforcements.
Odd warrior could be very interesting, but I feel like the double battle cries is just even more interesting.
I mean, it does sound pretty. It is insane. Right?
It's super powerful.
It's just something that I think is funny to think about.
Yeah.
And Purple probably hesitated and said, you know what? By the time I'm able to activate this, first of all, there's not even a guarantee of getting the Odd Warrior hero power.
Yeah.
And second of all, that doesn't even win me the game because I have to Odd Warrior hero power at least like 5 to 6 times.
Yeah.
The game is probably going to be way over by then because Nalguidan, it's turn 7 and he has 21 cards drawn. That just sounds ridiculous. That means on average, every turn, he has 3 cards removed from his deck in some capacity. That's silly.
Yeah, like
that is
2
just
point something.
Yeah.
It is quite ridiculous. And that makes it all the better for Purple for having both Spellward Jewelers, Bog Slosher, and Shudderwalk in hand already. Halfway through his deck. He's got every combo piece. So right now, he has the ability to go 4 times. 4 times of immunity to the Holy Wrath combo.
Which path to choose?
Nalguidan still has, he's got 8 cards left in deck, but the extreme limiting factor for him at the moment is his Shirval is still 17 mana.
Yeah.
Because he's been spent so much time playing minions to draw cards that he hasn't really spent a lot of mana on spells. So he needs to start thinking about that and investing to open himself options to be able to potentially combo earlier in the game to try and throw Purple off guard or force him to play Spellward Jeweler prematurely so Nalguidan doesn't dip too far into fatigue.
Yeah, and I think that there's legitimate merit for Nalguidan to even consider the Prismatic Lens in that situation.
Yeah.
He would be burning a card on the follow-up draw.
Yeah.
But I think what's important for him is to get to the bottom of his deck quickly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, another Cobalt. Wrong directions. And now Purple has a full hand.
Yes, but a hand full of damage. So over the next 2 turns, he has 3 Kobold Lackeys, so that's 12. A Weaponized Wasp, that's 18, and then a Bog Slosher for a Weaponized Wasp, which is 24.
So if you hero powers, each Cobalt's 4, so that's 12, plus that Weaponized Wasp is 18, so that's just lethal.
It's a lethal setup unless
Nalguidan
doesn't do anything, yeah.
Which I have to imagine with all these Kobolds being held in the hand, because if he would know that there's 5 things generated right now. There's 4 lackeys?
And a spell.
And a spell. So in Nalguidan's mind, maybe he has to start taking some precautionary measures. But the thing is, the reason why I think 2 Spellward Jewelers are brilliant is because they line up with the timeout really well. They time out first, then you Spellward Jeweler.
Yeah.
They time out for again, then you Spellward Jeweler and bounce. And then they're like, well, I can't time out anymore.
Act now.
And then you try to kill them.
Yeah.
So I think this is starting to become a chess match. This is no longer like a situation of timing versus kind of forcing your opponent to play. Ooh, losing that box slasher. I don't think it's going to be a big issue.
Yeah.
Oh, this is also clever too, using Barista to get 2 Spellward Jewelers. And 2 Shutterwalks, but it doesn't really matter because he only has space for 1.
No, he only gets 1 Spellward Jeweler, but the Shutterwalk is the same as the Spellward Jeweler
Right.
because the Battle Cry is in the pool.
Exactly.
So now, Purple has 4 additional turns of spell immunity.
He had the option of zapping too, just for the extra Shutterwalk, but he just decided to keep it anyways. I think he doesn't want to overload because he might need every single mana crystal in case he wants to kill from 18. Because we talked about the triple Cobalt and Weaponized Wasp, so having an extra Shutterwalk is overkill.
Yeah, and Purple realizes that the onus is on Nalguidan right now because Purple has a lethal available to him unless Nalguidan heals or timeouts. And as long as Nalguidan's going to timeout, as you mentioned, Purple's just going to follow that up with an immunity. So it's going to be, you know, at this point, Purple can kind of math out the game and say, all right, it's an impossibility for you to win as long as I just keep threatening and not allow you to have any wiggle room or any chance to lethal me out of nowhere.
Yep, so Nalguidan, he needs to draw, but one thing that he has to be careful about too is if he knows there's another Spellward Jeweler and another Shutterwalk, he knows there's at least 2 more turns of immunity.
My hand is too full.
If he knows there's at least 2 more turns of immunity, he's going to be taking fatigue damage if he draws more cards.
Yeah.
So his hope is that Purple will eventually gas out of the Spellward Jewelers, but he really isn't going to.
No.
You belong to the
He has 3 more.
I'm almost out of cards.
Is there a way for Nalguidan to get out of the situation? He will survive the Kobolds and the Weaponized Wasp burst in 1 turn.
There's actually a chance that Purple gets more. If Nalguidan removes this board and Purple plays Spellward Jeweler onto the board, if it's not killed and Shutterwalk comes down, the Barista Battle Cry will trigger and put another Spellward Jeweler in there.
You're correct.
So this is potentially even more turns depending on, you know, how Nalguidan's going to opt to remove boards once they come down.
You think you can't take me?
Purple once again going to load up the board, recognizing he can't kill from the hand anymore. So, Witchy Lackey, I think the most important thing is he does play a Spellward Jeweler this turn. Oof.
Such a beautiful design.
Treasure chest. Doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
Out of cards.
I honestly think I might have used Titanic Lackey on something else.
So, yeah, and one thing that's interesting, too, is I wonder if Nalguidan can find a way to win this game just through, like, board presence. I don't know if that's the case because Purple has Shutterwalk still. But, like, you know, if Nalguidan, like, just plays Shirvala and then, like, has Zephyrus to, like, help build up really big boards, Purple can't really answer things immediately. He would have to, like, use all of his Cobalt Lackey and his Weaponized Boss to remove stuff.
Yeah. But this is still 2 more turns of immunity for Purple, as well as still a good amount of burst damage from hand. And with Weaponized Wasp, that's even more, because he could Hero Power, double Cobalt, double Weaponized Wasp, which is 20.
Yeah, part of me even wonders if Nalguidan fundamentally should be keeping things like Crystals and Kankor more in the matchup. Whoa, wait, hold on. What is
Mortuary Machine.
Mortuary Machine, after your opponent plays a minion, give it Reborn, so you can give Reborn to Shirvala. And Tyrion.
What?
Oh,
Okay.
I bounced it.
That could have been weird.
Could have been really weird.
My hand is too full.
All right, so purple does have, unless Nalguidan plays Shirvala right now, purple would have lethal next turn with hero power, double lackey, and double weaponized wasp. Because that is 20 damage from hand, and purple still has another turn of immunity. And the awkward thing for Nalguidan, if he plays Shirvala, he has to shuffle it, and he still has the shuffle next turn with Holy Wrath, but then there's still one more turn of immunity and one more turn where he would risk dying.
And the thing is, Nalguidan has seen what feels like the last Spellword Jeweler from the first one. He actually doesn't know about the second one yet.
He doesn't know about the second
Everything
one.
that Purple's been playing has been from the other side of the hand, hiding the fact that there is a card on the far left, which is Spellword Jeweler, that Nalguidan can't see.
Granted, there's only 9 cards left in the deck for purple, so the likelihood that he's drawing the second one is pretty high. And he has seen some burns, but unfortunately those burns have been not Spellword Jeweler, so he can assume that there's an additional one.
He can Holy Wrath the 10/10.
Let's stash that away.
That's also kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I guess Zephyrus here is good for board tempo. The Black Knight is interesting, but it does set himself up
for mind control tech?
mind control tech.
Purple does not play mind control tech. He's cut the mind control tech for the Spellword Jeweler and Plague Umbrella.
Might be better to Blessing of Kings or Shirvala.
To get the additional heal?
Yeah, it might be.
None.
See, the thing about this is that mind control tech can really go badly here. That being said, purple is still unable to kill. And again, Nalguidan really off that Holy Wrath plan.
And purple only has one more turn of immunity left. He burned the other Bog Slosher.
But he can just clear the board, right? Doesn't that become the win condition that he just clears everything?
How does he clear the board with 7 mana? That's only 5 mana if Spellword Jeweler has to happen, or else he dies.
Right.
So
Spellword Jeweler, so that's 3 mana. So with 7 mana left, he can hero power and clear off Shirvala and the 4/5 and zap the 3/2. And then Nalguidan waits.
And then purple has to kill him the next turn.
But purple also has heal in the form of the Life Drinker.
He has to heal to 30.
He has to heal to 30.
He has to heal to 30 and clear the entire board in order to play around that True Silver Champion. So Spellword Jeweler has to happen, or else he dies.
Yes.
Because Life Trigger would only bring him up to 28.
Little time.
Goblin Lackey, Zap, Weaponized Wasp, and Kobold.
Yeah, clears everything.
Yeah, it clears everything. But then that's a lot of damage from hand that he's giving up.
Oh, Witch's Brew!
I'm out of cards.
Nalguidan was not happy to see this, and I apologize. I don't think Purple's playing Mind Control deck in his deck.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I kept emphasizing that. Nalguidan, tough situation where he has to clear off everything, and I guess he just waits, right? He doesn't play Shirvala, doesn't play Baleful Banker, doesn't play Holy Wrath. He just waits for it.
Yeah, he can't. I don't think he can, right? Purple still has a lot of resources in hand. He could easily remove Shirvala on the board. If you're going with Holy Wrath here, you're Holy Wrathing a minion for 25 and trying to rely on the Shirvala sticking on the board, the 2 Shirvalas sticking on the board, which I don't think is a super reliable plan to win the game from that stage. But it may be his only plan if he feels like he never wins by waiting a turn.
Yes, he is at 23. So if he clears off, like, say, this 5/1 and then goes face with the 4/5, maybe he still feels safe. Oh, he's going to Baleful Banker with the Baleful Banker with the Baleful Banker. That's cute.
Yeah, this negates a turn of fatigue and puts an extra 2/2 in play.
I like this face damage.
Yeah. So Nalguidan's swinging, which means that now Nalguidan's limited to 25. So purple just needs to make sure that he's alive from 25
Well, he's counting first. So 2 kobolds is 8, plus the wasp is 14, plus the 5 on board is 19.
Plus Life Drinker is 25.
Does he have mana to do all that?
Hero Power is 2, Life Drinker is 6, Weaponized Wasp is 9, Kobold, no, he doesn't quite have mana. What about Lightning Bolt?
Lightning Bolt and Life Drinker instead? No, it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same. So it looks like 21 is the damage that he can deal.
Yeah, the Witch's Brew. That's the nail in the coffin here.
Yeah, so he just needs to Witch's Brew up to above 25, so 1 more, and then clear the board with the remaining mana.
Mortals are so squishy.
Yeah, and he goes all the way up to 30.
And then Nalguidan's very last hope
Cards.
would be to Shirvala, Baleful Banker, Holy Wrath, and then play the second Shirvala. Purple has Hagatha Scheme at 4 damage, but that should be enough to clear everything.
Yeah, Hagatha Scheme with the double Kobold Lackey and Zap and Lightning Bolt. I mean, his entire hand is essentially removal.
I'm out of cards.
It's time to test your metal.
Did Nalguidan missing a hero power last turn matter at all? I don't think so. No.
Reporting for duty.
So with this Zap, with Hagatha Scheme and a clear, that is definitively it. Purple's not deep enough for fatigue for Nalguidan to hope for it. It was a really close game back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, big yawn. It's still going. There it is. Yeah, very, very cool game. It did get a lot closer at the end than I expected it to be with how many Spellward Jewelers Purple had. I feel like the first turn that Nalguidan timeouted, he timeouted with 6 cards left in deck.
Yeah.
So maybe he could have waited a turn for Spellward Jeweler, but Purple must have like mapped it out in his head and said, I have this many turns of immunity, potentially more. Even with the minimum, I still should be able to either kill him or heal out of range with Life Drinker in the meantime. And he did get kind of unlucky with all the Kobold Lackeys from his Shudderwalks. Most of them hit his face. If those Kobold Lackeys don't hit his face and instead hit Nalguidan's face, all of a sudden Nalguidan doesn't even have lethal with the Truce Over Champion Holy Wrath, which Purple could have even delayed one of his Spellward Jewelers even longer.
I mean, you say that, but also Purple kept getting Kobold Lackeys.
He kept getting Kobold Lackeys,
So,
yes.
I mean,
And
that's
the
a really
average
good
outcome is that if he plays 4 from his Shudderwalk, 2 hit his face, 2 hit Nalguidan's face. So,
yeah, and I think the fact that he had 2 gave him the luxury of being more aggressive.
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, I think the #1 reason why you want to play 2 is that you draw it more consistently. Because you're going to be, on average, like, 17, 18 cards in the deck by the time they deck out. And that's if you draw aggressively, right?
Yeah.
So with that knowledge, he wants to have a higher chance of hitting at least one Spellward Jeweler. He hit both. And because he had both, he had the luxury of even being more aggressive with his Shudderwalk instead of like greedier, right?
Yes.
Because if you have only one Spellward Jeweler, you have to kind of save that Shudderwalk and layer it correctly. But he just played it proactively. It just put more lackeys, drew cards, and put a 6/6.
Yeah. Well, it's very close though. 5 damage was the difference maker. So,
right. And it could have been, if he didn't get the heal or if.
yeah, if he didn't get Witch's Brew, he was going to die. He didn't have any layer for the last Holy Wrath. He didn't have the Spellward Jeweler layer left. So if he didn't get Witch's Brew, I'm almost certain he would have died. All right, let's get into it. Game number 3, it all comes down to this. Purple playing the Quest Druid, and Nalguidan going to be playing the Holy Wrath Paladin again. So taking a look at Purple's Quest Druid, he does have the double Ferocious Howl and the double Hidden Oasis. So he does have kind of that ability to semi-heal out of range of the double combo. It's all about how you layer those things, and sometimes you do need a little bit extra, like we saw in Muzzy's game yesterday, where he needed the Crystal Power in order to fully heal out of range. And then, of course, there's always Zephrys, and trying to deny the ability for your opponent to like get a big Tyrion on the board and start swinging with Ashbringer. And the way you do that is by pressuring at the right times.
Well, pressure is the name of the game for Nalguidan, playing a Wild Pyromancer on turn 2. We've seen a lot of Paladins opt to go for something on the board just to make sure to keep their armor in check and maybe even to challenge
Behold, jewels
things like
of the
Crystal Merchant.
sun. Ooh.
And that's a pretty telegraphed play from Purple
One shot,
because he played Quest on 1 without coining.
Reporting for duty.
Usually you only do that if you have a curve that kind of lends itself to like Crystal Merchant, like wanting, if he doesn't coin on 1, then he's trying to curve out into something specific, and usually that's Crystal Merchant.
Yeah, the big challenge was that he didn't have Oasis Surger in his hand before he made the decision.
Yeah.
So of course, if he had Oasis Surger in his hand, he'd be like, you know what?
I'll just coin it out anyway,
Yeah.
wait a turn for Crystal Merchant, and just curve out with 2 5/5s.
Job's done.
Which all works out anyways because that purple only drew up 1 card. Nalguidan unfortunately gives up his board, but not the end of the world. What's more important is to draw his cards here.
Yep. It's Christology, even at 2 mana, still a very, very, very powerful card. Once upon a time, Dan, Christology was 2 mana.
So Nalguidan reducing Baleful Banker down to 1 does increase his range a little bit. It does give him the ability to play Shrivala for 0, Baleful Banker for 1, Holy Wrath for 5 mana, which gives him 4 mana left to throw in a Hammer of Wrath into a champion. Even Zephyrus into
Eviscerate.
I've seen people play a little bit too close to the 25 line and get blown up by things like that.
Yeah, the one you expect that can be done with the normal combo is Shrivala, Banker, Holy Wrath, Zephyrus, Lightning Bolt. So if they haven't played Zephyrus yet, you can reasonably play around 28.
Or Soulfire.
Or, oh, Soulfire. Okay, well, 29 is, yeah, no, you're right. 29 is
the only reason why I'm playing that, it just gives him more flexibility.
Yeah, 29 would only be done if it's your second combo and you're doing the kill, because you can't risk Soulfire discarding the Baleful Banker. But likely, Zephyrus will only give you the Soulfire if you're getting the
The point that I was trying to drive at was sometimes you don't get the access to the Zephyrus.
Yes.
It just gives you more flexibility in your plays.
Especially against Druid, right?
Yeah,
you usually have to
might
use Zephyrus for a clear, yeah.
I often run into that issue. Or I haven't really played much with DK Paladin on ladder. I have been playing some Druid. That's right, TJ. I'm a filthy Druid player. But
I like
yes,
Druid.
I have ran into that issue where like they use their Zephyrus like, oh, I'm clear, and I'm like, wait, I forgot the Prismatic Lens swap, and they did extra damage.
So Zephyrus used from Purple could end up being a big deal. Sometimes Zephyrus is necessary for one, threatening lethals to force your opponent to time out early. Like without Zephyrus available, Nalguidan doesn't have to consider anything other than like swipes from hand or worthy expedition cards to play around when considering, can I take the risk and not time out this turn?
It's true.
It also, as we saw Muzzy using yesterday, you can manipulate to get silence on Tyrion, which is 15 extra damage that you no longer have to worry about. So it's a big tool.
In order from Nalguidan to get that extra bit of life, Purple with 9 mana available, but no Cenarius, no Feoris. But he can play this Oasis Surger ×2. Load up the board with massive pressure. I think the one thing is he doesn't want to extend too deep into an Equality or a Shrink Ray, so perhaps holding on to that Innervate is useful. I was actually thinking about using the Innervate and second Oasis Surger over the Floop, given that Floop is a really nice tool if you do find Cenarius, and you do have King Feoris.
Yeah, it's more flexible.
But Purple has Nourish and Innervate Oasis Surge to keep his momentum up, so that makes sense to me. In the context of his hand, Purple wants to Nourish to draw deeper in his deck, and he wants to still keep the threats up. So that's fine.
Wow, Cenarius was the
card.
very next card. There's Hidden Oasis 1, so still both Ferocious Howls. and one of the Hidden Oasis in the bottom 11.
Well, you know, actually holding on to the 2 innervates gives the play that we were talking about, which is the burst of life period.
Yeah, the double Ferocious Howl and Hidden Oasis in the same turn.
Right. So and maybe, you know, because obviously he got the crystals from the Nourish, so that was something that we were overlooking.
Yeah.
But holding on to double innervate is a very powerful tool in the late stages of the game.
Yep.
Nalguidan gonna draw with the Hammer of Wrath. Always a little painful when you can't Hammer of Wrath the face.
Yep.
Shirvallah down to 1 mana already. Usually you don't see this aggressive of a Shirvallah discount, but it's not like Nalguidan was doing it purposefully. It just so happens to line up that way.
Yeah. So first Hidden Oasis is expendable. It's usually used after you see some combination of Truesilver, Consecration, and Hammer of Wrath, because you know that that life total is likely to stick.
What?
There's still 1 Consecration. There's still 1 swing of Truesilver. So it's not guaranteed that Nalguidan's not going to be able to land at least some face damage for the rest of the game. But he saw Hammer of Wrath, and it was thrown on a minion, and that's like the spell that usually goes face.
Jewels of the sun.
So it looks like he is going to... He's going to use double innervate now.
Maximum board pressure, just saw inequality.
Yeah, maximum board pressure and a card draw.
Subdue. So the Shrink Ray here, pretty important, but Purple doesn't really have too many more options to pressure outside of this. Oh, is that a King Feoris? I think so.
Right on time.
A Mets.
Ooh.
Oh. Ooh. Oh, Toxmonger. So Toxmonger, whenever you play 1-cost mini, give it poisonous, doesn't really have that. Snapjaw Shell Fighter absorbs the damage. I got wrecked by a Cragwall the other day. Because Warrior got it off of a Pinata, and he had played Warpass the previous turn.
So he just
so he just got back 3 Warpass and a Shield Slam, and, and I just lost. And I was a Highlander Paladin that had Odd Paladin hero power.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I just win this game. I just grind him out, and then he got like 3 more Warpass. Like, okay, never mind. I do not win this game.
Yeah, the Echo interaction, something that we saw a lot with the Evolved Shamans back in the day.
Yeah.
Or Unstable Evolution.
Riggedy wrecked.
Which wasn't an Echo card. It didn't have the Echo label because Echo wasn't a key card when Unstable Evolution was released. Kind of interesting. Just as an aside.
You know, Nalguidan has opponent down to 24, and there's still 4 cards remaining. This might come down to a situation where he might have to do what we see a few other players going for. Firebat, PNC, etc.
Just rip it.
Just rip the Holy Wrath. And you have... Unfortunately, he didn't discount any other Holy Wrath. Even if it went down to 4 mana, it would have been huge, because then you would be able to go for two tries. That being said, he still has Zephrys. So that Zephrys can add that extra range that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And with the Truesilver Champion equipped, that's another 4 burst. So his range goes from 25 plus 4 plus 4 as far as I know, which would be 33. Purple, if he gains life with this Hidden Oasis, only goes to 30, but that armor plus Hidden Oasis is key. Interesting. Oh, Purple's trying to free up space in his hand so he can play Elise.
So he's going to play Elise to
and
get another
2
Ferocious Howl.
Howls and Hidden Oasis. This is so smart. I wasn't expecting that. And by doing so, he also keeps a space on his board free.
Yeah. To be able to play... I guess there's not really anything. You can still heal with Hidden Oasis.
There might... does Nalguidan have a chance to guarantee this? Crystology draws Novice Engineer. Novice Engineer pulls 1 card. TJ.
50-50?
Is this a 50-50? There's 1 other card in the deck, and it's a timeout.
And
It's
something else.
time to test your
He's got 2 Holy Rats.
Let's stash that away.
Oh, he's gonna
He's
double
increasing his chances.
Wait, no, this is just still a 50-50.
Does he get it? Does not.
So he could have just novice right? He could have novice engineered, and it still would have been a 50-50, but he would hold on to his second banker.
You're right. He would have held on to his second banker.
Because novice engineer would have put a 1 card, he would have shuffled, so it would have been a 50-50 regardless.
Is too full.
But this way, he just threw away his second banker. Am I mistaken? Is there something I'm missing here? Because he floated 1 mana and the Baleful Banker was 1.
He should novice first, right?
He novices first, then shuffles the Shirvala.
What's his last card that we're not seeing right now? We know 2 Shirvalas are in the deck.
There's a timeout.
And a timeout that was just drawn.
Timeout was drawn, so now there's 2 Shirvalas, and then the last card is...
High Priest the Call.
Yeah, High Priest the Call.
So now Nalguidan hits for 25. Hits 25, he can hit for additional 5? Wait.
What would Uther do?
He's got additional 5 from the Zephyrus because
I'm
of Lava
almost out of
Burst.
cards.
And then Shirvala takes out, so additional 9. So he's 6 damage off.
I mean, he can't play both Shirvalas this turn. And he could play both Shirvalas and High Priest Thakal. So that way he gets the additional, he'd be at 37
Which
effective health.
path to
Right.
choose?
But he'd be in fatigue going into the next turn.
Yeah, what's the best way to go about this? Because he also has Zephyrs to manipulate things like Frost Nova, but he knows that a couple things have been duplicated in the hand.
It's time to test true metal. It's time to test true metal.
Think you can't take me?
Yeah, it seems like Purple's going to outlast him. Purple seems pretty confused. He's saying, well, hold on. I guess that's the only thing that you have left is Zephyrus. This is a full clear. Do I just win or... Because he doesn't win through direct damage. There's no way he can deal 39. But Purple is trying to math things out here. So a swipe, just one swipe clears the board. Just trades everything in.
It's at a comfortable 23.
Right.
And there's only a Zephyrus left. Though Nalguidan is at 58 health.
It's true, it's just... Yeah.
This has to be a miracle Zephyrus.
And it's just going to offer the usual. Tyrion. Brightwing! Okay. Legitimate
All right.
Brightwing might be his only chance.
Yes.
Because he's not going to get there with Tyrion. We all know that. He knows Swipe's been
All right,
duplicated.
let's go down the rabbit hole right now, Dan. Elysiana.
Oh my gosh, you're right. It has to be Elysium.
Elysiana from Brightwing.
There's no other way. Purple. Channel. Ah!
The battle is over.
If he had gotten Elysiana, that would have been something.
Yeah, even then, I think he still loses, maybe.
Unless he gets
Like, 'cause
Shirvala and Holy
Elysiana-
Wrath from Elysiana.
Yeah, Elysiana has to give him good cards. And also, Drew is getting to the point where they're going to play, like,
Chef Nomi.
Chef Nomi, and
Yeah.
then you just die. So it was tenuous, to say the least.
Yeah.
Either way, fun ending there, and I think Nalguidan took it in stride. Let's go ahead and check in with Purple, who is fresh off his victory, back-to-back wins in 2 days. Purple, what's up? Can you hear us?
Yeah, what's up? How did he get offered a turn 14 Brightwing? Like, what on earth?
I think it recognized that he had like one card in hand, and like he was in fatigue. So I think the Brightwing recognized that you need like a Hail Mary situation.
Yeah. I mean, if he does get Elysiana from that
200
Brightwing,
IQ.
it at least makes it interesting.
We thought
right?
that he needed like an Elysiana in that situation. That was like the only way he can get out. It was pretty wild. I wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah.
So Purple, you end your season at 9-5, really nicely done. At worst, it seems like you're going to end second in division. Perhaps maybe if there's some tiebreakers, but
could
either
be a
way,
three-way tie for first.
Yeah, it could be a three-way tie first. Either way, just some thoughts on your overall performance on the season from your own perspective.
I think I played pretty good. I don't know. Didn't do anything too fancy. Just stuck to fundamental, no mind gamesing in the bans and picks, and just played my game because I think I'm pretty good at this game, and I don't think I need to be taking risks when I think I'm pretty good. So fundamental, good Hearthstone, and that's it. It was an okay season. I probably should have lost that last game. He had a 2-3, but then again, I could have won a couple more in this season because I lost 2 matches to a colleague to Rhino on turn 4. So it cancels itself out a bit. But 8 to 10 is where I should be in this league, and that's where we are again.
So when you say that, are you talking about the fact that you feel like you have your edge just in your fundamental play skill? Because other people they're taking some wild risks, right? Highlander, Paladin, and some other interesting stuff. Even changing entire deck lists like Reno Hunter. Is that what you're trying to say? That you feel you just trust in your skill to give you that edge that you need?
Yeah, I mean, if other people want to try wacky stuff against the standard stuff, go for it. Probably doesn't work. I'm just going to stick to the normal stuff and beat you with it anyways. And if you want to play the mirror, probably beat you anyways with that anyway. So I'm gonna keep doing the normal stuff because that's the good stuff, and there's really no reason to do anything funky in this format.
You say that, and then we see the double spellword jeweler tech that has some real fine nuance to how you play that matchup. Can you give a little insight onto how that game developed for you? Because that was a pretty aggressive shutter walk, and we were just kind of trying to break it down from our end. We want to hear what you had to say about it.
Yeah, so I figured I had about 8 turns of untargetable, so. But yeah, it actually got close. I probably should have waited 1 more turn, but I figured I was like, you know what? Let's not give him a 1-3. Let's just start being immune now, because we had a lot of immune effects over a lot of turns. But so I just felt like I had so many that I would be able to close, and it ended up being really close, and I had to. So clearly I did it one turn early, I think. I just really thought I would be able to close a tiny bit sooner, but I just over and over again he just had good plays. He played it really well. So I should have taken the risk of letting him Holy Wrath and have some percent in the game for 1 more turn, and then I should have went in probably. So I went in just tiny bit too early, but yeah, it was about right. It's a hard card to time. When you look at the what ETC did with Spellword Azalina against Druid, it's just so obvious when you do it, right? They play Florus or Geppetto, and you're like, time to go.
Yeah.
But Holy Wrath Paladin, well, it depends where he thinks he's at in the game, right? Where it's with 5 cards left, he might rip. With 6 cards left, he might rip. 4 cards left, he might rip. So it's not a science. It's just kind of, I from my perspective, I'm like, he might rip it again. So I went in. I kind of regretted at the end where I did need to get a tiny bit lucky to win. So it's just a hard spot to evaluate.
It did seem pretty hard, like you said. It's a very fluid matchup. Not super obvious indicators, could go either way. Last question here, real quick before we let you go. We saw you making some tweets on the social media talking about people have the opportunity to say mean things or say nice things. You want to elaborate a little bit more upon that, since Twitter's not really a good platform to say these kinds of messages?
Right before bed, Orange put the link of his game that got cut out on stream, and I just got absolutely triggered by someone said, what's sad is that GM players don't know what Octosari have to play, and it's the only purpose of comments like that is literally just to make people feel worse about themselves. Orange did the right thing. He wasn't in a winning spot. He had to take risk. And to just crap post, or to put things like that are just meaning, the only intent is to be harmful to people, is something that as a community we need to step away from and be yeah, these people have feelings. I'm a person. I'm on the internet, but that doesn't mean I'm not a person. I have these feelings, and like if we all like be a tiny bit better, the world's just and our community is just a better place. And yeah, and this last week super emotional, and I really we're gonna be sad to be missing someone, and don't need social media and Twitch chat just bashing into those people and making it worse. Come on.
Well, I think we speak for everybody here when we say find. How dare you say bad words on the internet, Purple.
Send me the bill. But I do apologize. It's got a little emotional.
Great speech, Purple. Very sobering. Congratulations on a fantastic season. We'll see you in playoffs.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of the guests.